My mother was the Queen for a very long time. And although you kind of know that this might happen, you don't really think about it very much.
Alongside the personal grief that all my family are feeling, we also share with so many of you in the United Kingdom.
Something was buried inside Buckingham Palace so carefully that the people responsible believed it would never surface. For months, the whispers stayed contained within a circle small enough to trust. Then something shifted, a conversation repeated in the wrong room, a confidence misplaced, and the silence that had protected one of the most powerful women in Britain began to crack. What came through that crack was not gossip, it was not speculation dressed up as news, it was something far more serious. And the names allegedly connected to what has been quietly unfolding will make you reconsider everything you thought you understood about the Windsor family's inner circle. Camilla Parker Bowles did not arrive at her current position easily. She climbed toward it across decades of public hostility, sustained media scrutiny, and the kind of reputational damage that finishes most public figures before they reach the halfway point. Yet here she stands, Queen Consort, seated beside the King of England, her title official, her role confirmed, her portrait hanging in palaces that once closed their doors to her. By every external measure, the battle appears won, but sources now circulating within royal observer circles are suggesting something that no official statement has yet addressed, that the acceptance Camilla fought so hard to reach may be far less solid than the palace has allowed anyone to see. And the forces now reportedly working against her are not coming from the press, from the public, or from outside the family. They are coming from within it. To understand why this moment feels different from the years of ordinary tension that have always surrounded Camilla, you need to go back to where the wound was first made. Because everything that is allegedly happening now traces directly back to one woman, Diana, Princess of Wales, the most photographed, most mourned, and most fiercely remembered royal figure of the 20th century. Charles himself confirmed in a 1994 televised interview that his relationship with Camilla had continued during his marriage. Diana, in her own landmark interview the following year, described Camilla as the third person in her marriage.
Do you think Mrs. Parker Bowles was a factor in the breakdown of your marriage?
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
Those words, spoken calmly and without visible anger, embedded themselves into the consciousness of an entire generation. They were never forgotten, not by the public, not by the press, and according to every credible signal now emerging, not by the people inside that palace either. So who inside the family has reportedly carried that memory the longest, and what have they allegedly done with it? Because the answer to that question is where this story truly begins. Princess Anne has never been the kind of royal who softens a position to make a room more comfortable. Her reputation within the family and among those who study the monarchy closely is built on exactly the opposite quality. She speaks plainly, she serves without performance, and she holds her view of what the monarchy requires with an intensity that very few members of the family can match. It is precisely that quality, sources suggest, that placed her at the center of what is now being described as one of the most heated private confrontations the Windsor family has seen in years. According to reports that emerged following a coronation dinner, Anne allegedly made her feelings about Camilla's suitability as queen known in terms that left no room for interpretation. The exchange, described by those familiar with it as deeply serious rather than a passing disagreement, reportedly laid bare a view Anne had held for years. That Camilla's history, specifically her alleged role in the destruction of Charles and Diana's marriage, made her fundamentally unsuitable to carry a title as significant as queen. This was not, according to those present, a diplomatic expression of concern. It was a declaration, and once it was made, the atmosphere inside the palace reportedly changed. But Anne was not the only senior royal whose behavior around Camilla was beginning to attract attention. Because what happened next involved someone far younger, far more strategically positioned, and far more surprising, and it happened in front of the entire watching world. Princess Catherine has spent years constructing one of the most carefully managed public images in modern royal history. She does not court controversy. She does not invite scrutiny. Her record of navigating the pressures of royal life without a visible stumble is by any reasonable measure remarkable, which is precisely why what she did, or more accurately what she did not do, during the coronation ceremony became one of the most analysed moments in recent royal memory. Royal protocol is not suggestion or preference. It is a precise, codified system of gesture and formality through which hierarchy is communicated without words. Among those formalities, the curtsy carries particular weight. It signals recognition of rank. It signals deference. And it signals to anyone who understands the language of the palace where one royal places another in the unspoken order of things. As Queen Consort, Camilla sits above Catherine in the formal order of precedence. A curtsy, in that context, was not simply expected, it was required. Catherine offered a brief nod, nothing more. To a casual viewer, the moment passed in seconds. To royal protocol experts, to analysts, to historians who study the grammar of royal gesture, what Catherine did or chose not to do was not subtle at all. It was the clearest possible signal, delivered in the most public possible setting, that the future Queen of England does not fully recognise Camilla's position in the way the official title demands. Multiple royal commentators and publications, including Hello magazine, examined the moment extensively in the days that followed. The palace offered no clarification, no spokesperson addressed it, no correction was issued, and in that silence, something was communicated almost as loudly as the gesture itself. The question now is not simply what that nod meant in the moment. The question is what it means for Camilla's standing going forward when the woman who will one day be queen has already shown publicly and wordlessly exactly where she stands. But there is a third force now bearing down on Camilla's position, and this one did not stay silent. Prince Harry's departure from royal life was loud, prolonged, and deliberately public. His interviews, his documentary, and ultimately his memoir brought the interior emotional climate of the Windsor family into living rooms across the world in a way that no royal had ever previously allowed. Among the many subjects Harry addressed, Camilla's influence within the family was one of the most pointed. His accounts, carefully worded but unmistakable in their direction, painted a picture of a woman whose relationship with the press, whose positioning within palace structures, and whose alleged role in certain family decisions had created a lasting unease among those closest to the throne. Harry never made his feelings a secret. But the cumulative effect of his public commentary, according to those observing the palace closely, was to crystallize something that had previously existed only as private tension. It gave language to a discomfort that others inside the family had never publicly voiced. And it contributed, sources suggest, to a quiet but significant reassessment of Camilla's role at the very heart of the monarchy. With Anne allegedly speaking openly in private, Catherine sending signals publicly, and Harry having spoken loudly on the global stage, the picture taking shape around Camilla is unlike anything she has faced before. But has she simply absorbed this pressure as she has absorbed every other challenge, or is something different happening this time? To her considerable credit, Camilla has not retreated. Her charitable commitments have expanded steadily, with a particular focus on literacy, domestic violence awareness, and animal welfare. Her public duties have been carried out with consistency and composure. Her efforts to move beyond the controversies of her past and establish herself as a figure defined by purpose rather than history have been genuine, and they have worked to a degree. Public opinion toward her has shifted measurably over the past 2 decades. The open hostility that met her early public appearances has given way in many quarters to a cautious acceptance. But cautious acceptance and genuine security are not the same thing. And what the current climate inside the palace suggests, according to sources, is that the acceptance required to make her position truly stable, the acceptance that must come from within the family rather than from the public or the press, remains contested in ways that are becoming increasingly difficult to conceal. What is unfolding around Camilla is not simply a personality conflict or a question of etiquette at a formal dinner. It is the surface expression of something that has never been fully resolved. The monarchy's reckoning with what happened to Diana, with the choices that were made during those years, with the emotional cost that was paid, and the question of who paid it. Every reported tension between Anne and Camilla carries that history inside it. Every analysed gesture from Catherine points back toward it. Every word Harry committed to the public record was shaped by it. Camilla holds a real title. She occupies a real role. She performs her duties with real dedication. But the piece that would make her position unassailable, inside those palace walls as much as beyond them, appears, according to every available signal, to be something she has not yet fully secured. And with the forces now reportedly aligned against her, the question is no longer simply whether that piece is possible. The question is whether it is still being offered. What happens next inside the palace may determine not just Camilla's future, but the stability of the monarchy itself during one of its most closely watched transitions. And what has allegedly been said behind closed doors in recent weeks, conversations that the palace has worked urgently to contain, suggest the story is far from over. This is Crown News, where whispers around the crown come to light. The next video takes you even deeper inside, revealing what was allegedly said in a private meeting that no one inside Buckingham Palace wanted to ever reach the public. You will not want to miss it.